Yeah, Singapore, I think it's a place that you don't need 3 months. You maybe only need like 3 days in Singapore. All right, it's now been 3 months living in Singapore. I just left Singapore and I've had a little bit of time to reflect on the 3 months of really living there day in and day out. Been quite an experience, and I think I'm still processing, so there's going to be a few different videos here. Singapore was such a magical experience in some ways for me, because it's been a while since I really lived in one place for that long. Even when I was in Japan, I was in Kyoto for 2 months, Okinawa for 1 month, the Philippines for 1 month. So really staying put and staying settled in Singapore was quite a nice experience for me, because I could actually make friends. I could actually really get involved and have a bit of a routine and consistency, which as a more nomadic person, that level of peace and stability and consistency was really nice. And people told me in advance that before I went to Singapore, they said, yeah, Singapore, I think it's a place that you don't need 3 months. You maybe only need like 3 days in Singapore. 3 weeks, you could get bored in Singapore. So people made it clear to me at the beginning that 3 months is like too much time. But for me, it was really clear, in order to really get to learn and experience and immerse myself in Singapore, really get to make friends, get to see what day-to-day life is, I'd need to spend at least 2 or 3 months there. And it worked out. So I'm asking myself this question of how much should I praise Singapore, and can I even criticize Singapore? That's the question for today. Singapore's done some really great things, from a very solid, very efficient, positive public transportation system to really solid, you call it public housing, but how the government has tried to handle housing, especially with their Housing Development Board, the HDB. Singapore's done a lot of really great things, to be honest. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of problems here. There's still a lot of things that need to be improved. That's kind of the point of pursuit of better in a lot of ways. We can't just easily rest on good enough. Yes, there are some things that we need to be satisfied and grateful for and just have some gratitude for. But there are a lot of things that are not okay. Singapore has destroyed much of the natural world on this island. I think most of it's been lost to development. They've destroyed a lot of marine life around the coast by just reclaiming land and just building artificial land. So I kind of question myself with how much should I praise Singapore for the great things that it's done, because it has done incredible things, especially given its region. But I also kind of wonder, we're living in 2025. For me, it feels a little like a early 90s kid. It feels like we're really living in the future. Soon it's 2030, and these were things that I heard, these were years I heard in sci-fi movies. So in almost 2025, 2030, should it take, how much pain? How much pain should people have to go through at the border from here to Malaysia? Yesterday, visited Malaysia, came back from Malaysia across the border, JB, Johor Bahru, and came back across the border. And this little distance of like 30 miles, 45 kilometers, took 2.5 hours to do because of just the intense and extreme and inefficient border crossing. And air conditioning is, for example, air conditioning here in Singapore, it's a massive energy use and it's very inefficient, but it's really necessary here, and they haven't really figured out a good solution for that. You know, they've reclaimed and grown Singapore by 25 to 30%. They've grown this island, they've grown this place. But it's estimated that with climate change and rising sea levels, that 30% of Singapore is going to be lost to these rising sea levels with climate change. So, okay, you've spent so much time and effort developing, but you haven't taken care of the environment and the nature to some level. And I'm really questioning, how much am I even allowed? How much should I even consider criticizing Singapore? Will they ever let me come back? I mean, that's a silly, stupid thought, but will they even let me come back if I say too much or if I criticize too much? So I guess that's kind of the question for me, is how really awesome is Singapore? And how much should I praise Singapore or should I criticize Singapore? And I think a lot of Singaporeans, a lot of people I've met around here, they're very patriotic in a sense, and they don't really seem to talk about the bad things. They seem to just want to talk about the good things, and say how great Singapore is, but I wonder how true that really is. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming out. If you haven't already and you like following me along on this journey, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow along. Really appreciate that.